Hi,
Hi, Tola.
Feranmi. Hi.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hi, great to have you here. We're very
Thank
excited
you.
about having you on our live webinar. So yeah, we're looking forward to amazing things. The topic for the webinar today is how to get your first 100 customers, and we have Feranmi from Flutterwave here. He's a great marketer at Flutterwave, and he also has a food business, Knife Rice, which is really, really popular on social media. So popular that people from Silicon Valley of San Francisco are asking for Knife Rice delivered to America. So yeah, today we're going to be sharing insights, and we're going to be asking firms some questions about how to get your first 100 customers, how to grow your business, different methods that you can use for different types of businesses. Just a bit of introduction. Ferrum's background is he's a fintech growth marketer. So he started off at Cowrywise, and then he went to Okra, and then he's currently at Flutterwave now. So yeah, Ferrum, over to
Thank
you. Nice to have you here. Please
Same
share a bit of
here. I'm
here.
very excited about it,
Tell us
actually.
about yourself. Yeah.
Uh, okay, I'm some guy who likes to cook, but because I cannot afford my cooking dream, I had to get into growth marketing. So that's why today I'm a growth marketer. No, that's not why, actually. If I get but, but actually, I always have a big dream to travel around, and I enjoy growing brands. I enjoy the idea of growth analytics, and I've been doing that for about 8 years now. Starting off officially with Cowrywise, although I've done stuff in the past with Alat and Meristem, but primarily officially with Cowrywise, and that's been good so far.
Is that a phone
Yeah.
call?
You said what?
Is that a phone call?
Yeah,
I
actually.
can hear some disturbance in your background.
Let me just fix that now. So sorry about
All
that,
right, no
please.
worries. Alrighty, so where were we? So yeah, let's get right into the mix of it. So your passion is growing brands and marketing. How did you get started in marketing?
So I think I got started in marketing from let me remember now, in primary school. So there was a time my grandparents came to visit us at home. That's when I had the idea of running a restaurant. So I took
Okay.
a little corner at the house and I drafted a kind of menu for them to say that this is my restaurant and everything. And I wanted to sell the idea to them and they had to pay me for being like the host. Yeah, I was not the one cooking the food, but I wanted to be like that host. So the idea
That's
of
interesting.
copywriting, the idea of copywriting for me started because I wanted to make the invite card very
Okay.
attractive enough, like compelling enough. So that was my very first experience with
Wow.
marketing. Ever since, I have been writing for brands, I've been writing for myself, from blogs, and building campaigns, particularly when I was in school and we had events and wanted to raise money from brands. We need to build like marketing plans for them and share with them. So that was something that actually launched me into the marketing space.
Okay. Amazing. Amazing. Amazing origin story. Great to hear
Thank
that.
you.
So I'm gonna get right into the mix of it. I'm gonna ask a question now,
Mhm.
for you to quickly debunk. What are the common myths about sales and marketing that you encounter on, a regular basis in your experience
So
working with,
first,
fintech and having your own business?
so first off, it is that somehow people still think that sales and marketing are very much different in fintechs or in startups and everything like that. They're still very different when the company is very large and what marketing is doing is that they're bringing in the traction and sales is closing on that traction. But as a growing business, you don't necessarily need to separate. I know people will not like this. They will say, "Oh, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't." But for me, I'm very honest with you. I do not necessarily see the difference, particularly in early stage businesses, because you are, as a
Mm,
marketer, you're basically owning the entire funnel from the beginning to the end. Do you
mm,
understand? Another myth is when people want to talk about marketing, they want to talk about copywriting and everything for brands. That tell you like things like, oh, sound like Nike, sound like Coca-Cola, sound like this very big guys and all like that. But you see, before you are able to even sell that amount of copywriting, there has to be something that happened in the background, like a lot of good work. You are not Nike, you are not Coca-Cola for now. Just focus on building a good
but
product.
we can dream. So
Yeah, dream now. I'm not saying you should not dream. What I'm just saying is that in as much as you're dreaming, understand the fact that nobody knows you. That's the truth. They don't care about you. That's very first truth about a brand. And what people
Mhm.
want to necessarily see when they hear from your brand is how exactly is this going to change my life from A to B, or how exactly is it going. So that's the difference between. I'm not saying that you should not be all salesy and all like that, but you need to consistently show that value before we talk about the features of your brand. And in showing that value, do not get to, in quotes, Nike or Coca-Cola like at the beginning. Try to find your own tone and just stick to that for a start.
Yes, but
Yeah.
for brands, especially when you're just starting out, it's very difficult to not be salesy. I feel like it's only big brands that have that luxury to say, oh, do not be salesy in your copywriting or do not be salesy in your marketing contents that you're putting out. Do you understand? So how do I say it? How do you kick off marketing a new brand from day one without being too salesy? What are the
Mhm.
first few steps you need to put in place as a fresh brand that nobody knows, especially in the world today that is the world is very noisy right now. Social media is too busy.
Yeah,
So how
extremely
do you
noisy
stand
actually.
out essentially from day one?
So when you talk about standing out, people talk about
Yeah.
logos, brand design, and all. That's good. But what the first form of attraction is trust. So you need to find what you call your trust channel before you actually launch any brand. For some people, they use a trust channel of influencers. Some people use ads. Some people use different things. But one thing that I've known to always work well, particularly for small brands, is with micro influencers. And I'll give a very simple example with knife fries. When we started, it was during the lockdown. 2 weeks before the lockdown, we had already started the business and we just closed down. So it was a very hard thing for us.
Wow.
Thankfully, there was a buzz of people ordering food and all like that, but they were ordering from the big names. Nobody was ordering from a local guy that just started a kitchen in his house or was cooking for his family members. Nobody was caring about that. Do you understand? So what
Yes.
we did was I looked at within my own space and I saw a number of tech people that had like 5,000 followers, that had like 3,000 plus. Some of them, none of them had more than 10,000 followers. A number of them, I built up a list of about, I think, 25 or 20 of them. And I was cooking meals to deliver to them by hand in their houses during the lockdown period. So what will happen is you will
During lockdown.
see yeah, it was allowed. Food was allowed to be delivered during lockdown.
Okay.
So food was allowed to be. So what happened is they would take pictures of that food, post on Twitter or and say, Feranmi came through with knife fries for us today. People would say some other people would now come on in that comment and say, wow, I want my own, I want this. And then because those people had some sort of influence, it was a trust
Clout.
channel for us. You understand? People
Yes.
like trusted their idea, trusted their taste, and said, okay, if they like this food, definitely they would also definitely we can actually vouch for this guy and get this food also. So what that did for us is that towards the end of lockdown, we started to build up a wait list. Thankfully to these people, the wait list I think got to about 200 or about 300 of people paying
Wow,
a
amazing.
minimum of I think 2.5. I can't remember that day, a minimum of 2.5, and it took us 3 days to clear out the entire orders when we finally
Wow.
opened up the shop. Yes, it was very very well. But
What's that?
the
500,000
keyless,
in a day?
well, that's not anybody's business.
Tell us now.
No, it's very, because I still need money, so I don't want to. Nobody should think that I actually have money or anything like that.
But you are rich.
Amen. I hope I'm rich. Knife fries
No
might be rich,
worries.
but I'm not very rich yet.
Mm.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's very
So
important to make that distinction.
yeah, very important. So for us, the trust channel was micro influencers. For any business, you need to understand first of all how you're going to drive trust for your brand. Even if it is one person or two people that are going to drive trust for your brand, you need that level of kickstart for people to drive trust for your brand. When there's trust in your brand, you can drive word of mouth. And that's the
Mm,
fastest way to grow as a new business. You drive word of mouth. And from word of mouth, you can then begin to try out inorganic options. Those are paid ads and everything like that. You see, the mistake about that people make is that they just rush into setting up paid ads. So when your ads go out there, there's nobody in your comment section saying, I know these guys, I've tried them before. So you're just seeing ads, you're getting likes, but nobody is vouching for you in the comment section. It's very important. So, for example, now, if you have 10 people that trust you, they give you their emails, you build out a lookalike audience on probably Facebook or something from them, and probably like people that follow them. When those ads go out and they see your ads, they will go there and say, I've used this brand, I trust them, I did this. But if your ad is there and it has 1 million likes and nobody's saying anything good about your brand, yes, you might get some customers, but the cost of conversion will be higher because there is no word of mouth to defend what you're saying, what is
Yes.
good about your brand there. So that trust channel is extremely important for any small brand. Then you asked a question also about when you're doing copywriting, how do you not go salesy to
Yes.
get to being like unique? So for example, I tell everyone that the marketing starts from the product. When we started Knife Fries, we wanted the story was that a lot of meals exist already. How do we like fuse in Nigerian taste into those meals and tell a story around that? Do you understand? So we're not coming to tell people come and buy burgers. No, we're telling people things like, have you ever had suya burger before? Like, have you ever tried this before? You've probably had regular, because when we're in school, we used to do this thing that you put suya in your egg and
Yes, we are
melt it
burger,
into your
yes.
bread. Yeah. So have you ever had this before? That kind of thing. So it was more of a narrative of come try something new, come try something that tastes like Nigeria, and then you are still having that feel of burgers. We've had people that have never tasted burgers, but that don't even like burgers. Try out our burgers and say, oh, I don't take burgers, but I like this particular burger. And when you share those kind of stories out there, people then begin to get attracted to it. Do you understand what I'm trying to say in
Yes.
that aspect now? So it is more about what is the product story, first of all. How does that product story communicate any form of value to the customer? Does it communicate a new experience? Does it communicate more money to them? What exactly does it communicate? Build on that communication and hammer down on it for them. And that's how you can get your copies. If you want to just do, I sell burgers, nobody cares. You get some burgers, but if you want the real traction, you need to build it that way.
I completely agree with you. I've shared content around this, on my social media channels where we talk about having social proof. So people, I believe in the sales psychology of people copy what they see other people do. So
Mm-hmm.
somebody wants
Yeah.
a free burger in the comments. Maybe you can help with
Mm-hmm.
that. people generally, human beings generally, we imitate each other. So if you see someone doing something and you're sort of interested in that thing, you're more likely to take
Mm-hmm.
action and join in that activity because you've seen someone that you believe has that you find sensible, taking on that action as well. And we've seen it work in real time for us. So yeah, you may call it trust channel, but we call it social proof. Maybe it's a tech thing that you guys call it
It's not a
trust
tech thing,
channel.
it's something that I just formed. I wanted to call it social proof before, but that was what came to my head.
Really?
Yeah,
So
that
you,
was
you
what
came
came
up
to
with
my head.
the terminology yourself. So we should be expecting a
I
book
just came
on
up with it,
marketing.
man.
Should we be expecting
I
a book
don't
on
know.
marketing?
I want to write one actually, but I think I'm probably the laziest marketer you meet anywhere.
I
And I
completely
think,
disagree. I've seen you work and I know you're an amazing marketer. I completely disagree.
yeah, but I always push my work to deadlines, probably because I get more creative
We all
juices
do
there.
it.
But it works
We all
better
do
for
it.
me. I can't promise
No
any free
worries.
burgers right now because we are revamping
Yeah, come
actually.
on. Share
No, I can't promise
something.
because
Do give
I can
away.
share. But surely, just I would communicate with Tola. If you are following Tola's community, yeah, sure, the giveaway will happen through her community and not
Yay.
through this call. So when we finally finish the revamp, which is going to be most likely mid-August, early August, what we're trying to do, we're
Mhm.
trying to open more branches and sort out delivery issues. We had like we operate the business in Lagos with delivery and food. Lord is your strength.
I
So we're
can
trying to sort.
imagine. I can
So
imagine how
we're
difficult
trying
that
to
is.
sort. It's very difficult. So we're trying to tap out,
Yes,
open mini branches and all.
you have a lot of people asking for free burgers. You have a lot of fans, honestly. Mm? For me, talking about running a business in Lagos and the headache that it can be. What are the common mistakes that product businesses make when they want to generate sales? Do you mind sharing some?
Yeah, giveaways actually. So that's why I'm not very big on giveaways. I don't do giveaways for
Interesting.
I don't do giveaways for new customers. Apart so when I mean new customers, people that have never tried out Knife Fries, that have never bought anything from Knife Fries. Most times what we do at Knife Fries is we tell you, or share your screenshot of what you bought before, or let's see your history. We're trying to automate that process. And the reason, it doesn't mean I cannot personally give out burgers on my own name. Like what I'm going to do with your brand now is from my own account. But as a business, we
Mm-hmm.
do not do giveaways for fresh people that don't know how that history is with us. And here's the thing: giveaways are kind of like a vanity growth channel. A lot of
Hmm.
people will just come, bring their money to you. It's the same thing with referrals sometimes also. Do you understand? It's why I consistently push that things like referrals, giveaways are channeled towards people that are active users, people that are active customers of your brand. Do you understand? Not
Yes,
just anybody, or not just a random. Sorry for using the word random, but that's what it is actually. You're not a customer. You're not
I
a random person.
understand.
You're a
Yes.
customer. Do you understand? So, for example, if I was to run a clothing business online in Lagos now, and you make your first purchase, I could give you $10. $10 the Lord Jesus. So let's say
Yes,
two
sorry.
dollars, $2 for example. Let's say you bought a dress for $10, I will give you $2, but you can't touch that $2. You then invite another friend to come and buy. They buy another dress for $10, and you get another $1. And you make another purchase,
But
and you
that's
get
so
another.
much work.
Yeah, it's so much work, but it is retention also. Do you understand? It is
Yes.
retention for the brand because you're not running a charity business. You're here to make money. Forget all the inspirational stories everybody gives you. We're here to make money. Nobody's your family member in this business. Everybody wants to make money. And you're not anybody's family member at the end of the day. You get to make money.
Yes.
But the one brand that does this very well is called ThreadUp. ThredUp. ThredUp. So what they do
Yeah,
is that you keep on
definitely.
accumulating points, and those points can expire. So let's say you've accumulated $10, for example, in points. They tell you that this
Mhm.
$10 will expire in 2 weeks, or it will expire in 1 week. So that means you have to use those points still on that platform. Do you understand? You're not taking the money to another place, you're using it on the
Outside,
platform,
yeah.
and it will be tied with another purchase. So it's not as if you're going to just get $10 and buy something free for $10. That way, you are building up retention for your brand. You understand? It is
Yes.
very mechanical, but it works. Another approach is, instead of going that very mechanical way, you can make it very emotional, very personal. Probably somebody has bought 5 burgers, for example, from Knife Right. You send them an email like, "Hey, I'm so grateful that you bought 5 burgers. Here's what this means to us. 5 burgers means blah blah blah. This has contributed to." You don't need to tell them exactly. This has contributed to a significant percentage in our revenue. We thank you for growing this business. This business is, that's why you cannot play the inspirational part. But truthfully, what you're doing is, I want you to spend more money with us. So we're giving you a 500 naira voucher, a 1,000 naira voucher for your next 10,000 naira purchase, or for your next 1,000 naira purchase. That way, you're ensuring that nobody is gaming your system, and these
Hmm.
people are actually customers that are using your product. Because,
Yes.
for example, last time on Twitter, I was giving an example of when I was working on a referral program for a particular company, and some guy had 100 BVNs. I did. It was very very funny. 100 BVNs, and I was driving a referral program. Now that guy will never use the product. He will drive the traction. Probably if the reward is 1,000 for a minimum deposit of 500 naira. For 500 naira, get his 1,000. He doesn't mind losing the 1,000 500 to you, because he's getting 500. He's getting
You
1,000
have
naira.
to
That's
you have
500
to
naira,
run that
an
back,
extra
yeah.
500 naira back. You get.
Yeah.
So if you are going to chase growth through
Mm-hmm.
giveaways, probably to raise money and exit your business, fine. But if you want active users, people that are going to stay in your business and use your business, you have to ensure that referrals, giveaways are tied strictly to active use. It's a slower way to grow, but it's a more sustainable way to grow your brand as a business.
I see. So reward loyalty schemes, but make sure that it is people that are engaging actively in your business that benefit, not people
Exactly.
that are looking to, make quick money and or win something
Yeah,
and
some
then
people
never
that
come
that's
back.
some like working in fintech. I started fintech officially 2017. But some
Mm-hmm.
people who have day jobs, that day job is simply to hunt around for giveaways, referrals. You see them on Twitter. Their bios will have all the accounts from this one, this one, this one, this one, and they have everything. Do you understand? Just chasing after giveaways and all. That's what they do every single day. So you need to avoid such people. They're not going to grow your business, actually.
Agreed. So what then are the steps that you can take, if you can keep it to just five main steps that you can use to get your first 100 users as a new business? or
First,
100 customers rather?
you're assuming that I have 5 steps. I don't have 5 steps, but I'll try. I'll try. There are a couple of ways to getting your first 100 customers. But one way that I really like is something known as minimum viable communities. So, when people talk about minimum viable products, like, okay, this is a product we are going to the market with. We own this product. Let's just test it in the market. Do you understand? Let's just try this in the market. There's something also called minimum viable community. Say,
Mhm.
for example, you want to run a shoe business to sell shoes. You start up a TikTok brand, and what the TikTok brand is focused on is listening competitions. So people do a lot of listening competitions. They take videos, they tag you guys, and this is the only point where I know that I can support a giveaway because this time you're not giving your product, you're building your community. The product does not exist yet.
Yes.
Your shoe brand does not exist yet currently. So what you are rewarding them for at that point in time, that are being active members of the community. It's not just random. So they're probably posting listening competitions. So people like do some sort of different listening styles, make videos, put it up on put it up on TikTok, tag your brand. That is your community you're growing already. Do you understand?
Yeah.
From time to time, you're sharing tips on shoe care. When people are looking for tips on shoe care and everything, I know how to lace my shoe, how to do this, they're coming to your brand because they trust your brand already. That is your minimum viable community. At the point where you now want to launch your product, say you want to launch with 100 shoes or 200 shoes, you can now pick people from that community and say, hi guys, we are launching with 200 shoes. Because you're the first members of our community, we are going to be giving you probably a 10% discount. But if you can get your friends to go and make a purchase, they would also get a 10% discount when they make a purchase, and you get a 5% discount off your next purchase after that 10% discount. You understand? So you started from, why are you looking like that? Was it confusing?
I'm trying to understand the 10% discount, the
Okay,
5% discount. It's so
so
technical.
let me explain to you. So let's say I'm the customer. I buy a shoe, I get a
Mhm.
10% discount because I was one of the first people in the community. Then I refer you, you then buy a shoe, you also get a 10% discount. But because I referred you, my next purchase again, and since you made a purchase, would now give me a further 5% discount. Do you get it?
Yes, I understand.
So
So it's like it's rolling on.
yeah, a growth loop. Do you understand? So
Yes.
minimum viable communities are very good to getting your first 100 customers. And the approach for that is that you position yourself as a teacher of the subject matter related to your brand, and you go out there. Some people do it with blogs, some people do it with Telegram groups, some people do it with social media. So one person that has done this very well on Twitter is Tosin Olaseyinde. Came off
Yes,
as
I
a
agree.
teacher. She's a teacher actually, and then she's drawn people into her product. So here's a very simple trick about marketing. People purchase from who they trust. It's still the same principle. That's the foundational principle. I'm not going to put my money anywhere that I don't trust. And the first way to make me trust you is if you can teach me stuff, if you can show me that you understand what you're about to get into. Do you understand? So, say for example, there was this lady on Twitter, her name is Kitchen Butterfly. If Kitchen Butterfly today opens a restaurant, people are going to flock to that restaurant. People are even begging her to open a
I
restaurant because
agree.
she was very knowledgeable. She's very knowledgeable about food. Her blog is like food history and everything. So you trust that that person is coming to cook for you anywhere or at any place. You know that the person understands what they're doing. So try out minimum viable communities. And people that have done this very well are the crypto guys. They build their community first. Like there's literally no product. And you just say those guys just putting LFG, we're all going to make it every single day there. Yes, so build a minimum viable community before the product, such that you already have people that will adopt that product, the MVP that you're trying to work on, and that will bring in people to that. That's number one. Number two is the second thing that is what we did at Knifera is using micro influencers. So micro influencers can be as simple as your friend in the house that has 1,000 followers on Twitter or that has 2,000 followers on Twitter. Just ensure that you have many people that you can talk to. DM them,
Yeah.
hi guys, I'm launching this particular stuff. Can you try it out? When you try it out, just do anything you want. Don't tell them to post or tweet or do anything. So it is called in marketing, it's called seeding out influencers. So you probably send free products or free stuff to a couple of people around to try it out. Yeah, Remy is one I even taught me this one also, by the way. So he taught me this one.
Yes, and
And
we
I
had
went
on
from
the
another,
last webinar.
yeah, and I went exactly. So I had another guy called Tori Laglis. You give people free stuff. Of course, don't get broke or don't go and give people money, people that can give people free stuff and monitor exactly how they react, what they do with the free stuff you give them. Now, those guys that do a lot, some people will post videos, some people will post pictures, some people will post tweets. You're going to get, some people will not post anything. Now you're going to get purely organic feedback, and you can take that feedback, repurpose it for testimonials, repurpose it for lead generation ads to bring people into that business. You understand? For me,
Yeah.
I would not say I know that there are a couple of ways that people do this. Do you understand? But the two ways that I've tried and have worked for me is what I will focus on: micro influencers and minimum viable communities. Micro influencers, for example, let me just use a final example now with Cowrywise. When we started, that was in 2017. So when I joined Cowrywise in 2017, I remember the time I joined, we were about 1,600 Twitter followers at that point in time. And the only way
Okay.
we could grow our followers was we didn't want to spend money on buying followers or spend money on Twitter ads and things like that. We started to look out for people that were influencers in their own right and wanted to grow their own communities too. We would have tweet chats with them. That time, tweet chats was still a lot of things before you now had Twitter Spaces. So tweet chats, threads like that. After
Yes, I
every
remember
tweet
this.
chat, exactly. So after every tweet chat, you just see our following grow. You see people from their own community come. Sometimes we just extend it so far to even build some kind of like features or product campaign from those tweet chats. So let's say, like when we do something with Fumi Atogum, the travel influencer.
Blogger.
We went on to now, yeah, travel. We went on to now build saving circles for travel trips, and that drove more adoption from our end to our end. Do you understand? So she was bringing our community. We were solving a problem for her. People would commit to their trips; they will not pay. So we're solving a problem for her, and she was solving a problem for us. So we wanted
For you
traction.
as well.
She needed people to also like save and do stuff for them. Do you understand? So we were not
Yes.
necessarily paying her, but we're actually solving a key problem for her and
Yes.
branding and even
For her and her
putting like
community as well.
exactly. So those are the two ways. Like I said, I know a couple of other ways. But one thing I don't do is I don't talk about things I've not tried before. I don't just talk about this.
So,
Yeah.
okay, in on that note, what is the best way to boost online sales, quote unquote? Like, how do you like? Okay, now you've spoken about micro influencers and how to leverage them to grow your community and grow revenue for your product. You've spoken about minimum viable community, sharing content on social media, building a community on relevant social media platform, engaging that community, then offering incentives to that community
Mm-hmm.
based on how engaged they are. So, what is the
Mm-hmm.
best way, in your experience, to boost sales online? Because that's what people want to know. They want to know what will give you that boost.
Jump, right?
Yeah.
What worked for us was if you're into a product business, like physical product business, for example, please, I'm begging you. I don't actually begging. Invest in photography. Invest in photography.
Wow.
Invest in
Wow.
photography. Yes, you have to. Don't just take your phone and say,
Invest in
if
photography
you
or invest in content creation.
that's why I started. I said physical product first. You understand? It's
Okay,
content
physical
creation, yeah,
product. Okay.
but invest in snapping good pictures. If you cannot afford a photographer, there are a ton of mobile photography courses online that are free. Invest time in them. Do you understand? Why I'm saying
Yeah.
you need to first of all invest in that photography is that you need to be consistent with posting from time to time. Do you understand? Some people start a business, post on Monday, nothing happens. They don't post on till next month. There's
Mm-hmm.
no sort of consistency. Do you
There's no
understand? If you're
consistency.
going to be running discounted sales every Thursday, every third Thursday of the month, make sure you are consistent with that. Run it every third Thursday of the month. Let people know that they're looking forward to that discount. So first of all, invest in quality content creation. Be consistent. If there's no consistency, nothing is going to happen. I always say there's no magic bullet in growth at all. Everybody thinks
Yep.
that most of us in growth, we know what we're doing. We don't know what we're doing. All of us are just trying stuff up and down. Try
Yes,
this one, try
yes,
that
I
one.
agree.
But as long as there's that consistency and people can
Consistency.
try and say, okay, I know this. For example, I follow a couple of brands on Instagram. I think I follow Ecom Collective. I follow what's the name of this guy again? Chris Do. These people are consistent, and they're not just consistent. They're coming out with relevant stuff that relates to whatever it is that they are selling. You know, so once again, a wrap up of that: invest in quality content creation. Be consistent. Don't
Yep.
joke with that consistency. You might get discouraged and say, we've been doing this every day. We've been doing this every day. But we are getting 2 likes. We are getting 5 likes. We are getting 4 retweets. What you need to understand is that you are still in people's mind. Someone is seeing those tweets. Some people are seeing those tweets. So you are still on their mind. The day you stop
Yes.
posting for like 3 weeks, they'll be like, "And what happened to this guy?" That's when you even know that people actually know that you posted. What happened to this guy?
Yes, I
Is this brand
agree.
still alive? Yes. A very typical example of this. We've been posting on Knife Fries consistently. That was last year. We kept on posting. Some days we get 4 retweets, some days we get 3 retweets. I don't know what happened one day. Somebody just retweeted our tweet and he got to a popular comedian. His name is Mr. Macaron. He got to his timeline. And before we knew what happened, the guy quoted our tweet and said he wanted to buy 50 burgers for other people. He bought 40 for himself. Even after that, again, another day, he still did another 50 burgers for his people. If we decided that day, because probably yesterday we got 4 retweets, we're like, let's not post. Let's
Mm-hmm.
just hope that it's not happened yet. So that consistency is very important. Now, consistency does not mean you should be boring. Don't take one style of tweeting. It's not that we are not guilty of this to admire for. We made that mistake also. But don't take one style of tweeting, one same copy. You repeat that copy, rinse and repeat. No. Do some tweaks. Make sure your copy is interesting from time to time. Run polls. Do something interesting. Just ensure that you are consistent but not boring. They're two different things. Please don't be boring when you're trying to be consistent.
I agree. So that's for online. You are very heavy from this conversation. I can tell that you're very heavy on Twitter.
Yes, I
So
am.
what about for offline? What
For
about for
offline,
offline growth?
offline growth. I'm not the best expert on offline. I think that's why they not hire me for offline for for growth at Flutterwave. If not, probably I would have been leading on offline on offline channels. But I'm not the best.
Yeah, but you
However,
do have an idea
I'll
because you have a brick and mortar business. So
yes. So I'll give you a very simple example. One thing that we've tried at Knife Rise that really worked for us is we used to do what we call like partnerships. So one partnership that we explored was with events, where I think then it was third Friday, we would have a cookout where we would invite some kind of popular Instagram drummer to come around. So that would bring his own crowd. Then the guy that owned
wow.
the co-founder of Street Church was a friend. He would bring his own guys. So it was like a partnership where we would host that event every it was every third Friday, and it was very exclusive. It was not everybody that could get access to it.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one, everybody could buy tickets, but it was still limited to 20. The second one was people that ordered Knife Fries that could buy tickets. So you have to have ordered Knife Fries before in the past to be able to buy tickets there like that. So when we run, every time we hosted those events, we were like, oh, you guys actually sell food here? I'm like, yeah, we sell food here because they were just used to people just passing because it was just bikes picking up food. Nobody was really sitting down there. And gradually, what started to happen is people that were around there started to come to the store, sit down. It was impossible for them to work from there. So if we did not host that event or those events, nobody would have known that our physical store existed and this kind of things
That
could
that
happen.
option was
And
available to them.
that option was available on at the store. And so that those events really helped us. So one thing I would just suggest is ensure you actually have those kind of partnerships. But don't just have partnerships. Make sure you're tracking. I'm very big on tracking. Do you understand? I'm really,
Okay.
really big on
Yes.
tracking. So if you host an event, for example, you give people like discount cards. Let them take those. They've made their purchases there, right? But how are you retaining those people that came live and they take those discount cards
Hmm.
home? It's a code, right? You need to be able to track how many purchases now came through that code and how many of them remain after that. Do you understand? So you're not just hosting an event and it's
Yes.
a one-off thing and people don't come back again, but how many of them consistently, maybe they share it to their friends or maybe they used it to continue on the brand. They have to ensure that that is trackable. If you're not tracking stuff, you're wasting money. What you cannot track, what you cannot
Wasting
measure, you
money.
cannot grow. Yeah, so that's
Wow.
so that's
So how do
our
you,
point.
aside, okay, you've mentioned a way of tracking marketing efforts now. So how do
Mm-hmm.
you advise small businesses or startups that are just coming up? How
I'm a
can they,
small
what ways
business
can they
now.
do?
I'm a small
Yeah,
business
you're
too.
not a small business. You're a rich man, please.
I'm
So,
a small
how do
business.
you track as a small business? What are the? I mean, I don't want to say Google Analytics. What are the simple ways that you can use to track? Um, I recommend looking at your Instagram insights to understand. I mean, that's for content to understand what contents work and which content trigger your audience to maybe purchase or engage with you. You can see that from your insights. So what are the other ways that you can track your marketing efforts and how it links into sales?
So you're saying you don't like Google Analytics, you don't like, well, thankfully, there are a couple of platforms that can help. So if you are not very big on tracking numbers, you don't want to go deep down into Google Analytics, you can just work on aggregator platforms. So things like Shopify, for instance, at Mindfry, we use Fusion. They'll provide the analytics for you, all properly detailed. What I just need to state here is that
What's the name of the website?
Fusion is for food. Fusion
It's for
HQ.
food.
Yeah, just for food businesses. So those kind of platforms would streamline your analytics for you, make it easy for you to interpret them. But you need to, the work of analysis is not necessarily the data that is there. It is you monitoring the data every single day. People can say, oh, you're obsessed. Yes, you need to be obsessed with your data. You need to be very obsessed with your data. Just extremely obsessed every single day. You must obsess with your data. Why am I saying that? You might have had 10 sales yesterday, and over like the last 7 days, you had 10 sales. And just maybe like one day, you just had like 15 sales. Even though it's just 5 units that have been added, you need to understand what actually led to that jump. Do you understand? You need to understand what
Yes.
led to that jump. So, in either Instagram analytics, your platform analytics, Twitter analytics, just ensure that you are tracking that stuff every single day and you know your numbers. If you don't know your numbers, there's
You're
trouble.
not running a business.
You're not ready to business. Then you're going to be
You're not running
using
a business. You need
if
to
you're
know
going to
your
be using
numbers.
if you're going to be using like say links and anything, you don't want to like start creating all those like complex things. Bitly is there. You can track with Bitly, bit.ly. It's free. I mean,
Okay.
so you don't need to like stress. You don't need to like stress stuff a lot.
Okay. Someone commented that Fermi tweets important content in a fun way. So this would be a great time to plug your handle so I can put it on the screen. So it will stay in the video. What's your handle again? I'm struggling to remember.
My handle is a_Feranmi.
Underscore Fermi. That's all
Yeah, on
on
Twitter.
Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for anyone that wants to follow Fermi, that's it. A underscore Fermi on Twitter. So yeah. Yes. So let me actually take a point from Alberta. It's when she says you tweet important content in a fun way. So now for a lot of businesses, this is something that businesses struggle with. Even we as well at Halisi, it's kind of you have to do kind of like a dance, towing in between posting serious content and making it fun at the same time. How do you balance that?
I think one mistake that like a lot of brands make is everybody wants to sound funny. You don't need to sound funny. You don't need to sound funny. You can be very insightful and not funny and still very useful to people. There's a
Yeah.
handle on Twitter, Spectator Index. They don't sound funny at all. All they simply do is that every day they tweet random statistics that are very relevant to people. And people find
Yes.
them very interesting. Do you understand?
Interesting. Yeah.
Stairs is another brand. They're not necessarily funny. Stairs on Twitter, they're not necessarily funny. They write very strategic content and people like it. Two ways that I know that work for brands, like for Halis and I can work for you, is if you're like a consulting business, if you come from the point of data marketing, like very interesting data points, or we carried out this, they don't need to mention, we found out this very interesting thing, do a thread on it, or do some Instagram carousel on it, or some random
Mm-hmm.
thread. You're not a funny brand, but you are giving value. People are finding value from that thing
Value,
that
yes,
you're
and it's
saying. So
interesting.
I think when you asked about meats earlier, I think the first thing is that you don't need to be funny as a brand. Everybody thinks you need to be funny. Even though you don't have people just laughing in your comments, jokers up and down your comments. And nobody when you now post
And you
exactly what you
definitely
do,
don't want that.
you don't want to understand. I mean, you're not running a comedy show here. You're just a brand
Yes.
that needs to make money. I get that we always say care about your customer. I care about my customers. But for me to care about my customers, I need to have money to be happy, right? So you first of all
Yes.
remember that your brand that needs to be money. So you do not need to be funny. What you need to do is to pick a tone. Sometimes you can be funny, but pick a tone. Do you want to be a teacher? Do you want to be a humorous person? Do you want to be a sage? Do you want to just be a straightforward person? Just pick a
Yeah.
tone, make your tone in a creative way, and just focus on that. That's exactly what I would suggest about that.
Okay, that's very good. So we have about 20 more minutes to the end of the live webinar. So if you have any questions, please just leave it in the comment section, and Mr. Ferrami will, happily answer them.
So I'm
As you
so
know, he's a sage, so he knows all things.
I don't know what to do.
So, in knowing all things, what would you say is I mean, and aside the ones you've mentioned influencers, you mentioned a minimum viable community and investing in content consistency, know your numbers, great. What is a marketing strategy that always works everywhere you go? I mean, you've worked for Carrywise, Okra, yeah, Flutterwave now. You also have Knife Rise, and your effectiveness at marketing and getting, a huge number of customers on day one is evident in everywhere you go, even evident in your, Knife Rise business as well. So what is the marketing strategy that you would say works best?
Okay, first, I've only done the one at two companies per se, Carrywise and Knife Rise.
Yeah.
What marketing strategy works best? There's none, to be honest. There's none, and I will explain why. There's none. There's nothing like. And see that another mistake. Even marketers make themselves. You
I
leave
agree.
company A and you go to company B, and you're thinking that this worked at company A. Let me replicate that company B, and you keep trying to force it on that particular brand, and doesn't work. So if you are looking for a strategy that works everywhere, you need to first of all understand the audience you're serving. Is one thing that works.
I
Take
agree.
out time to understand the audience you're serving and understand the vision of the company. Because sometimes you come as a growth marketer, big growth marketer, and you're like, oh, I'm this, I'm that. And you go there and the company has a different vision from what you're trying to sell. You can't force the company, except what you're trying to sell is somehow going to take the company to better, but you can't necessarily force the company to follow your vision. Do you understand? So
Yes.
one thing I
Yes.
just learned to understand first of all is these guys that we are serving, what exactly are their needs and how exactly can we tell our story to meet their needs. So it starts with the customer.
Wow. Profound. I agree with you. Um, we've been talking a lot about product businesses. So, what would you say for service businesses? In my experience, I found that build a community around the product one product that you sell, and then upsell or cross sell to boost sales.
Mhm.
That works, yes. But for service businesses, what are the things that you need to bear in mind when you're trying to get your first 100 customers, or when you're trying to work on your marketing and sales?
So this from the B2B perspective, like say
From a
an
B2B
API.
perspective for service business. No, 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 not API. Easy. Not fintech. Don't take us too far. So we've spoken about product businesses. I just wanted to get your perspective on strategies for service-based businesses. It could be B2B. Services can be B2C as well. But if you're offering services, how should you position yourself?
So from the B2B perspective, one thing that I've seen that always works extensively is employee branding. Employee branding in the sense that your employees are seen as thought leaders in the space in which you're providing services in, such
Mm-hmm.
that they have their own, it still boils down to community. They have their own cluster of people that trust them,
Yes.
such a way that when people need those services, they would mention your people's names. You know, so employee branding is a very strong thing when it comes to positioning your brand as a service company. Because you don't have like a physical product. You have to talk and just make it clear that this is what we offer and people know that this is what you do. So thought leadership through employee branding. And don't force people to get into employee branding. You will see people in your team that really want to be involved. And it starts with you, the CEO, you, the co founder. It starts with you to become that thought leader and drive the employee brand and become like the beacon of the company. There are a couple of companies that do this. Well, there's one particular company. The reason why I'm forgetting their name is because I never used them. I know I loved that, but I'm not a very big fan of B2B services. I just focus on my, I don't make any.
Well, I can understand why. I mean, you deal with how do I say, you're more on the B2C side, but I just wanted to get your
Yeah,
perspective because
yeah,
it's almost like you're looking into what we do, which is B2B
hmm
services. So I just wanted
hmm
to get, yeah, but valid point, employee branding, having using thought leadership to as a springboard to leverage
yeah,
for pushing out marketing about around the services. Yeah, that's great. So
yeah.
we have a question from uni orders. What are the top tools software growth marketers should master? I really like demand curve. They share a lot of free content. There's one other one again that I subscribe to. Demand Curve is very good. The platform, I mean, I can't afford the course right now, it's quite expensive, but they have a lot of free content. There's one other one that you shared, I can't remember right now. um
Me?
Share some tools. Yes, you.
Okay. I should share some tools. Yeah. So when I
Mm-hmm.
said at the beginning that I'm probably the laziest good marketer that you've met, I know what I was saying. But if you want me to share some tools, here are the tools. Like, so good marketers, you have to be very data driven. Like, you have to know your data. Currently, what I'm trying to do personally is to learn SQL, is the query language for data analytics. So you can start off with data camp. Data camp is a place for,
Mm-hmm.
it might be for, you might look at it as something for data analysts and all like that, but it's really good for growth marketers to have those skills. And the good thing about data camp is that from time to time they run what do you call it? They run discount. I mean, my full year cost probably they will be like 360. Sometimes it can be as high as 500 or 800. And some days you wake up
Yeah.
and you can see $19. The entire year cost just going down to $90. So data camp, she said you follow demand curve.
Demand
I really,
curve. They share a
yeah,
lot
I
of,
really, I
yeah.
really suggest you subscribe to demand curves newsletter. And when you've picked up your data analytics skills, you also should experiment with tools like Metabase. Please do not use Power BI. It's don't let me start driving
It's
Power BI there.
enterprise. That's an enterprise tool, isn't it?
Yeah. So that individual, but I mean, just use Metabase, Tableau, which is on again.
As for
Yeah, those are
data.
yeah, that's for data. Then you also need to understand how to practice the idea of social listening. Social listening is you're trying to understand what people are saying about a particular product and knowing how to build your marketing around that. To be very honest with you, where I'm very particular about data. Sorry, hold on, please.
No worries.
Um,
Yeah, so while Feranmi is away, for growth marketers, I completely agree that demand curve is very good, but at the same time, there's still a lot of courses and people to follow that share tips around marketing. Ecom Collective is a very good place to learn a bit about marketing. But obviously, Feranmi is the leader here in growth marketing, so you should give
I'm very-
more insight. But before you progress, I want to take you back. So you're talking
Mhm.
about the tools that you're using now, which is you're learning SQL. I know you can code a bit, which bamboozled me when I found out that you're a marketer. Why are you learning how to code? So hard. I don't want to learn that. So can you take us back to the beginning of time? I know that technology has evolved when it comes to marketing, especially. Can you take us back to 2017, 2018, 2019, and tell us the tools that you needed to master, not the tools for 2022, the tools that or the things that you needed to learn at that very beginning.
Okay, so at the beginning, to be honest, it was just Excel sheets and it was very manual. You look at the numbers, you bring them to the Excel sheets. I had my formulas there, and things I used to track then were primarily active users, active revenue users. So when you say active users, people that probably have logged into your app within a particular time frame. Active revenue users are people that have logged in and are doing something like bringing money to the brand. I used to track a lot of things like the referral rates. I was tracking the word of mouth index. Word of mouth index is a very complex, a very complex metric actually, but I was tracking that manually. So I tracked a couple of those things manually using Google Sheets and Excel sheets. But thankfully for tools like Google Analytics and simpler platforms that already have embedded metrics tracking in them, it's easier. But if you want to do that, like I said, you just need to first of all master your data. Then you need to now ask yourself what data questions. Because data is one thing, but another thing to know the right questions to ask. So what questions should you be querying your data? And then whether you're using Excel, whether you're using Power BI, whether you're using Metabase, whether you're using Tableau, whatever it is you're using, you need to know the right questions to ask your data. So it's not necessarily the tools and the software. There's mixed panel, there's amplitude. There are copy, see there are 1,001 tools that you can actually
Bro,
use.
you're just
Do you
going
understand?
and going.
I mean,
You're
I
just
don't want to,
going
but
and going. At this
the
point,
major
I honestly think you should do a growth marketing course. Like,
no, I'm not
let's
that.
just have
See,
it.
I'm not that patient. So I prefer things like this. Like I've tried to teach people sometimes, and I get really, really impatient. Do
Impatient.
you understand? Yeah. So, in summary, you have to have a good grasp of data, knowing the right questions to query your data. Do you understand? And so also, what part of your body of knowledge every good marketer should know. This question is a question I like, and here's why I'm going to answer. Here's why I like the question. A growth marketer is majorly like a T-shaped marketer because that's the real word for it, a T-shaped marketer. Why they call it T-shaped is you have a depth of what you understand. For example, I do not struggle with content. I'm very good at content. I would not even deceive myself about that. I know content marketing very well. But I also have spread knowledge across SEO, email marketing, paid marketing, and all other forms, life cycle marketing. Do you understand? So you need to
Mm-hmm.
first of all find your core and see where you can build your expertise there. Whether you want to be a content marketer, you want to, in fact, everything still ties around each other, but just build your
So
core.
you have to know
Then now,
everything.
not necessarily everything, build your core and choose the ones that you want to have like surface knowledge about. Do you know? So you are known that this is your expertise, but this is what you're going to build around about. When you now start to advance, then you can have to build things like models. A lot of models, you're going to, what most people will not tell you that if you don't like maths, actually, good marketing can be very, very tasking because you build models. You have to build some models. It can be very simple models. Say, for example, there's something called the RFM model. What that simply just tracks is the recency of your customers, the frequency of those customers, and how much money are they giving to you. When you do that, you automatically are able to spread your customers into different buckets and know your high value customers, your mid value customers, and your low value customers. Then you now start to see
Mm.
how can you convert. Then what that now shows you is if you are a service person or a product person, you start to ask yourself is that what is the hurdle from converting these low value customers to become mid value customers? Are they factors that I can control? Are they factors that I cannot control? For example, you know, if there are factors I can control, how can I optimize for that? So that's from a model. Do you get it? That's why at the base of it, data is very important. But get your core, study your core, be strong in that core, then have surface knowledge about certain parts that are very important. Then, yeah,
Amazing.
that's how I did. So I started uh, as a
Final
growth person.
question.
As a
As
growth
a growth
person,
person, how best do you work with a product manager to achieve growth goals? Now, I've seen on Twitter that there's this thing going
yeah,
on where growth marketers are tackling managers, and I
mhm.
mean it's cute, I know, but come on. So how? Tell
Yeah, but
us,
I
oh
mean,
fairy wise.
which says to well, growth marketers will just carry some very expensive laptops and be asking how far, what's up, are you done, are we live? No shade at product managers. I'm sorry, but that's how I just no shade at them. But you see, The truth is, we need to understand that the product manager's role is to ensure that there's efficient use of resources, very efficient use of resources. While the growth marketer's goal is we need to drive adoption. So a growth marketer is seeing 1,000 problems. The product manager is seeing those problems, but the product manager is telling you we don't have sufficient resources at this point in time to handle these problems. How do we now come to a compromise? But as a growth marketer, I won't lie to you, particularly when people are dragging your brand online or dragging your entire company online, you want to fix it at that point in time. What I've learned is to scale our problems. I always scale growth problems. I scale them, write what I call very brief scopes, like one pager scopes for each problem, and share with the product manager. So let's say I scale our problems and we have 10 problems and I put them on a scale. What are our top three problems? I pick out those top three problems. I save the product manager the stress and I write the scope, have them say, hi, can we have like a quick sync? Of course, we'll argue on the sync, it's normal, we'll argue. But now you're not just coming to say, we have problem one, we have problem two, we have problem three. You're saying, I've identified these 10 problems. However, I understand that there's no there's no much time for us to fix these problems. These are the top three problems that we have right now. I've detailed some explanations around them. Which one do you think we can start with? They will tell you, oh, no, no, no. But then you're coming with a soft landing. You're respecting them. You're telling them that I understand that you don't have enough resources, but how can we manage this to do that? You understand? You made the job easier by writing a problem statement for them. You get. So that's just my approach for that.
That's your approach.
I've never fought my
I think.
product
I think.
manager.
I think. Are you
No,
sure? I'm sure I've
I'm sure
seen you
never.
complain.
No, I complain about engineers because engineers will tell you, oh, this will take um 24 hours, or this will take 82 hours or 72 hours. And I'll tell them, that's why I started coding actually. Not coding per se for products, but simple
Yeah.
things as content manipulations on the website. I was like, don't worry, I'll do it myself. And that was what I said. Yeah, so I don't have a problem with product
Fair
management.
enough. So yeah, thank you so much for your time, Fermi. Really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
So just to tie everything up nicely,
Hmm.
what final note or final word do you have for businesses that are looking to get their first 100 customers? Or I mean, in your own situation, yours was like this. So what advice do you have for us?
Um, First, marketing starts from the product. The product has to be solving a problem.
Yep.
There's this thing that guys that go to Y Combinator well understand. It says build what people want. Do you understand? Build what people want. Now, in solving a problem, it doesn't necessarily mean because 1 million people are doing it,
Yeah.
you should not do it. If you're convinced that the problem is not fully solved and you can solve it in your own way, go out there and do it. Do you understand? So when you have your product that solves a problem, the next thing is your storytelling and distribution. Distribution and storytelling are like the most important things. Do you get my point? So for
Yeah.
distribution, start from your inner community. Now, don't just give them free stuff. If you're going to give them stuff, if you're going to give them some, ensure that they are paying you back in recommendations. It could be as simple as a tweet. It could be as simple as a post. It could be as simple as a referral. But they're paying you back in something. Don't do, oh, guy, try it and everything like that. And you don't do that. You can try that with micro influencers that you don't necessarily know directly. Just see them out, give them free stuff, or I wouldn't say free because they're going to return. Some of them will create content for you, some of them will not create content for you. Do you understand? But the idea is that
Mhm.
you're actually like investing. Some things will not yield good returns, some of them will yield good returns, and there you can get organic content. Do you understand? But start within that circle of yours. Do you understand? To drive. Then
Yeah.
consistency. Consistency is very key. If you start something and you're seeing it working, be consistent about it. Number four, ensure that you're measuring everything. Track like a mad person. See,
Hmm.
you need to track everything. Every company I consult for on growth, they're always very, like some of them are tracking weekly growth, some of them are tracking monthly growth. I'm like, no, you can't be tracking monthly growth. You have to do this thing daily. Even the biggest companies, when I was at Cowrywise, we track our numbers and they still track their numbers daily just to see exactly because if you don't track daily, what will happen is at the end of the month, you just this month performed better than the other month. But what they actually drove or what they started the basically pick. If you can find out a particular day, you can know the exact source of that day, and then you can double down on that source and replicate that source in other places. Do you understand? So ensure that you track like a mad person. And number five, if you have the ability to don't go and start a business, focus on salary and earn your salary and be happy. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding though. So yeah,
But it's
just
valid. It's actually valid because business is not for everyone, and there's no shame in
there's no
just
shame.
being
Oh.
happy with a paid job. You can be the best, whatever role it is you are at, where you are at, and that's
But
enough.
the final thing, can you hear me?
Yes.
The final thing though is learn to talk to people about your challenges. Running a business
Hmm.
is very lonely. It's very lonely. It's actually very scary. There's sometimes where you never know what to do. You have friends in your house, so learn to talk to people about your challenges as much as possible. So yeah, that's the final word for me.
Thank you so much, Feranmi. We really
Thank you.
appreciate you coming and sharing your knowledge. I learned a lot. Everyone learned a lot. Everybody in the comment
Thank you.
section definitely picked something new. So yeah, thank you for your
Thank you,
time.
Sonia. Thank you.
Alrighty.
Thank you, Alison.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
So yeah, guys, till next month, we're gonna have another amazing guest that would be sharing their knowledge with us on how to improve our businesses and how to grow our businesses and business lessons that they've learned in running their businesses or working in a business. And yeah, till we see you again. Goodbye.